In the heart of the Tarim Basin, nestled within the vast, arid expanse of China's Xinjiang region, lies one of archaeology's most perplexing enigmas, the Tarim Mummies. Discovered in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, these remarkably preserved remains, some dating back over 4,000 years, challenge conventional narratives about ancient human migration, cultural exchange, and the interconnectedness of distant civilizations. With their strikingly Western features, sophisticated textiles, and mysterious burial practices, the Tarim mummies hint at a forgotten bridge between Europe and ancient China, sparking debates that continue to captivate scholars and adventurers alike. The Tarim Basin, dominated by the unforgiving Taklamakan Desert, is an unlikely cradle for such a discovery. Its extreme dryness, saline soils, and bitter winters created a natural preservative, halting decay and leaving behind bodies that appear almost lifelike, millennia after death. Unlike the intentionally mummified corpses of Egypt, these individuals were preserved by chance, their hair, skin, and clothing intact. Among the most famous are the Beauty of Lolan, a woman with auburn hair from around 1800 BCE, and Sheshan Man, a towering figure with a red beard and plaid garments, buried circa 1000 BCE. Their preservation offers an unparalleled glimpse into a lost world, but it's their appearance and artifacts that ignite the mystery. Some mummies were found with felt hats adorned with feathers, tattoos of geometric patterns on their skin, and even wooden combs, suggesting a society with a keen sense of personal adornment and identity. What sets the Tarim mummies apart is their physical appearance. Elongated bodies, high cheekbones, deep-set eyes, and hair ranging from blonde to reddish-brown. To early European explorers, these traits suggested a Caucasian origin, starkly contrasting with the East Asian features of modern Han Chinese populations. Accompanying them were artifacts that deepened the intrigue. Woolen textiles with tartan patterns reminiscent of Celtic designs, wheeled carts predating their widespread use in China, and even traces of cheese, hinting at a pastoral lifestyle. Were these people migrants from Europe, traversing thousands of miles across the Eurasian steppe to settle in this remote oasis? The initial assumption was tantalizing. A lost tribe of Indo-Europeans, perhaps linked to the Celts or steppe nomads, forging an ancient link between East and West. Early archaeologists like Aurel Stein speculated they might be remnants of a Bronze Age diaspora, driven by climate shifts or conquest. For decades, speculation ran wild, fueled by the mummy's Western look and a romantic notion of a Silk Road far older than history suggested. But advances in ancient DNA analysis have upended these early theories. A landmark 2021 study, published in Nature, sequenced the genomes of 13 of the oldest Tarim mummies, dating from 2100 to 1700 BCE. The results were startling. Rather than being Indo-European transplants, these individuals were descendants of an indigenous population with deep roots in Asia, specifically tied to the ancient North Eurasians, ANE. This group, a hunter-gatherer population from the Pleistocene, once roamed across Siberia and Central Asia, but largely vanished after the last ice age, leaving faint genetic traces in modern Siberians and Native Americans. The Tarim people showed no significant admixture with neighboring Bronze Age groups like the steppe-dwelling Afanasievo or Andronovo cultures, often linked to Indo-European migrations. Instead, they were a genetically isolated pocket, their ancient North Eurasian ancestry, about 72%, blended with a smaller contribution from ancient Northeast Asians, ANA, about 28%. This suggests they weren't newcomers, but but rather a remnant of a once widespread Ice Age population that adapted to the Tarim's harsh environment. Their Western features, then, might reflect this ancient An heritage rather than a direct European connection. Intriguingly, their mitochondrial DNA, passed through the maternal line, lacked Western Eurasian markers, reinforcing their isolation from steppe migrations. If their genes tell a tale of isolation, their culture paints a different picture, one of surprising cosmopolitanism. The Tarim mummies were buried in boat-shaped coffins, covered with cattle hides and marked by upright oars, a practice unseen elsewhere in the region, and eerily reminiscent of Viking traditions. They cultivated wheat, barley, and millet, crops originating in the Near East and northern China, and crafted cheese using kefir-like fermentation, a technique possibly borrowed from steppe pastoralists. Their textiles, including plaid woolens, rivaled the finest European weaves of the time, suggesting either independent innovation or distant trade networks. This blend of influences raises questions. How did a genetically isolated group adopt such diverse practices? Some scholars propose that while the Tarim people didn't mix genetically, they were cultural sponges, absorbing ideas from passing traders or neighbors along an early precursor to the Silk Road. The basin's strategic location at the crossroads of Eurasia likely made it a melting pot of technologies and traditions, even if its inhabitants kept to themselves biologically. Evidence of bronze tools and horsehair brushes found in their graves further suggests contact with metallurgical cultures, possibly from the Altai Mountains, or Bactria, regions known for early metalworking. Another layer of the mystery lies in language. In the first millennium CE, texts written in Tocharian, an extinct Indo-European language, emerged in the Tarim Basin, preserved in Buddhist manuscripts. Tocharian's presence, with its linguistic ties to Western Indo-European branches, fueled speculation that the mummies were its early speakers. The mummies' early dates, some predating Tocharian texts by over a millennium, and their genetic isolation, complicate this link. However, later mummies from the region, like those from the Zaha Cemetery, show maternal lineages from West Eurasia alongside East Asian paternal lines, hinting that Indo-European speakers may have arrived and mingled with locals after the Bronze Age, perhaps bringing Tocharian with them. Linguists note that Tocharian's vocabulary includes words for wheeled vehicles and agriculture, aligning with the mummies' artifacts and suggesting a cultural handover. Tarim mummies aren't just an academic puzzle, they're a cultural flashpoint. The Xinjiang region, home to the Uyghur minority, has seen tensions between its Turkic-speaking inhabitants and the Han Chinese government. Some Uyghurs claim the mummies as ancestors, citing their Caucasian traits as evidence of a pre-Chinese presence. Yet, historical records place Uyghur arrival in the region around the 9th century CE, long after the mummies' time. Geneticists counter that modern Central Asian populations, including Uyghurs, are a mix of Caucasian and East Asian ancestry, distinct from the mummy's profile. China, wary of separatist narratives, often restricts research, displaying Tarim and Han mummies together to emphasize unity. International access to the sites remains limited, with some artifacts housed in Urumqi's Xinjiang Museum under tight security. Beyond genetics and politics, the mummies offer a window into an ancient environment. Pollen grains trapped in their clothing reveal once lusher Tarim Basin, with poplar forests and marshlands fed by glacial meltwater, a stark contrast to today's desolation. Their diet, reconstructed from gut contents, included dairy, grains, and meat, pointing to a mixed economy of herding and farming. Some wore masks of painted wood or leather, possibly for ritual purposes, while others clutched small pouches of ephedra, a plant used in shamanic practices across Eurasia. These details suggest a spiritual life tied to the land, perhaps venerating rivers or mountains lost to desertification. Present, the Tarim mummies remain a riddle wrapped in a mystery. Did their ancient North Eurasian ancestry carry traces of an even older European link, lost to time? Why did they bury their dead in boats in a desert far from water? And how did they thrive in isolation while embracing far-flung cultural practices? Ongoing excavations and planned genomic studies, such as those targeting the Dzungarian basin to the north, promise new insights. Advances in proteomics and isotopic analysis could reveal more about their diet, mobility, and environment, potentially bridging the gap between their genes and their lives. Upcoming digs near Turpan, funded by international teams, aim to uncover more burials, while satellite imagery is mapping ancient trade routes that might explain their cultural richness. The Tarim mummies defy easy categorization, embodying neither a direct Europe to China migration, nor a purely local story. Instead, they suggest a deeper, more complex tapestry of human history, one where ancient populations, long vanished, left echoes in the desert sand, whispering of connections we're only beginning to understand. They challenge us to rethink the boundaries of East and West, revealing a prehistoric world more fluid and interwoven than we imagined. Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content on ancient mysteries, spirituality, and self-development.